What is up? Coach Emma here, and welcome back to the Fit Habit Life podcast, where we cut through the noise, talk real health and fitness, sustainable fat loss, and habits that actually work. And today, I have a super special guest on the Fit Habit Life podcast, Jeremy Golden. He is the Director of Fitness at Tehama Golf Club, and he was actually my strength and conditioning coach when I was playing water polo at Santa Clara University in college. So, welcome, Jeremy.
Thanks, Emma. It's great to be here with you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm glad to have you. So I just want to give you the floor to introduce yourself so our guests can learn a little bit more about you, and then we'll go from there.
Well, and as you said, I'm the Director of Fitness at Tehama Golf Club. I'm in Carmel, California. I spent 17 years in the college and pro realm. And as you also mentioned, I was your coach at Santa Clara for a year, which was one of the greatest experiences I had in college athletics, being at Santa Clara. Worked with many great athletes like yourself, and really spurred me on to the next phase of my career after that. Spent a lot of time in college basketball over at University of Virginia. I worked with women's basketball along with water polo at Santa Clara. I was at New Mexico for a year, and my last stop in college was at Minnesota Duluth, where I was the men's and women's hockey strength coach. And then I'd always wanted to get involved in golf, be more involved in the game of golf, and this opportunity came up and presented itself, and it was really just too good for me to pass up at that point in time. Kind of look at it as it was one of those situations where you stray from something that's safe, and you know that you're going to make a good life decision for yourself, but it's scary because you've been in the same field, the same area for so many years. And it wasn't that I felt stuck. It wasn't that I was not happy. It was that I knew I wanted more for myself. And I felt like the time to challenge myself was then. And when I got this opportunity, I jumped on it. I came here sight unseen, and just took a chance and said, what's the worst thing that happens is it doesn't work out, and I go do something else. But it was a great opportunity, a great time for me, and it's really helped me grow exponentially as both a person and a coach. I would say that I feel like my communication skills have improved dramatically since I've been here because of the clients and the people I work with. The fact that I have to communicate different with everybody because I've got somebody that needs one thing, somebody that needs another thing, and they all have very specific needs, and they need me to meet those needs. So it's not like I'm just throwing a program out there and saying, okay, do this because, this could be good for you. I have to really dive in deep and find what's going to work for that person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure going from coaching teams of athletes to people from probably the age of early 20s, 30s to maybe 70s, mid 70s, you have to really shift probably the way you coach them, and then the exercise selection too, right?
Yes, and it's funny because as I've gotten more and more clients here, and I've worked with a lot of different people. I mean, I have one client who's 87. I've got another one who's 83. Wow. And yes, the exercise selection varies, but in a way it doesn't. It's more how I program that exercise. I mean, my client who's 87 still back squats, still does hex bar deadlifts, still does RDLs. Now, the way I program it would be different than how I would program for you at Santa Clara, but it would still, some of the exercises still hold true. I deal with a very driven kind of person over here at Tehama. I want to call them very elite level performers in what they've done in their lives, and they look at this as a very vital part of their life. And so what I've really enjoyed about this is, they all love golf, so I train some people who specifically want to get better at golf, but while I'm getting them better at that, I'm getting them healthy for life. And that's the biggest thing is, it's healthy for golf and healthy for life all tie in hand in hand. So it makes programming fun, and it makes it fun that I also will treat them. I treat this like I treat a strength and conditioning department in college. Like, these are my athletes, and they know me. They laugh that they'll come in and be like, "Yeah, he's feisty today. Watch out. He's gonna get after you." And I do. I don't. I get after him, but I'm not like, I don't have to yell and scream and be the hype person. We just train, and I think that's allowed me to really, as I said, grow as a communicator, because I'm not blaring the music and I'm not getting everybody hyped up for this lift or getting everybody ready for a game, getting them ready for the next part of their life. And I think that's really important. So that's what's fun. And what's fun really is seeing them grow and see how much they progress through the program. And, I have one client who I've been training now for going on over a year and a half. And when I first started training her, we were doing a 30-pound, 35-pound dumbbell bench, and she couldn't pick it up. It dropped. And now I've had 60s in her hand. And she's able to hit 115 on a flat bench. So to see that, especially when, as we get older, we're supposed to be slowing down, to see people thrive like that as they're getting older is really satisfying.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. That's incredible. That's really awesome. And it's probably similar, but then different to the athletes, because you get more one-on-one time with your clients too, right?
Yes, that's a big thing, is I get a lot of one-on-one time with them. So I really get to know them. And I tell new clients, give me a few weeks to really learn your body and learn what you can and can't do. And then you'll see the program start to really shift in the right direction. The first few weeks are always hard because I'm learning them and they're learning me. So I need to see what they respond to, what they don't respond to, what's going to hurt them, what's not going to hurt them. I mean, we all have injury history. So what can we do based on their past history? What do they have going on right now that I can really help them with? So yeah, the one-on-one time I think is invaluable. I think that's something that sometimes gets lost in college athletics, especially if you're at a smaller school and it's you with 200 athletes. I mean, I've been there, done that. You don't have time to individualize because you have so many teams and so many things that you're doing, and you only have maybe an hour a week with that team. You just got to get them in and get them out. And
yeah,
that happens with, unfortunately, a lot of the non-revenue sports. It happens with a lot of the
water polo,
which I made sure to try to change when I was at Santa Clara. Luckily at Santa Clara, I was in a great situation where I only had 2 or 3 teams. So it wasn't like I was overwhelmed with teams. So I could take the time to sit there and say, okay, Emma needs this because she has a bad back or her hip is bad. So she has to do this. So it gave me a chance to maybe design a different program for you or for somebody else.
Yeah, and I noticed, so we had, when I was at Santa Clara, I think almost every single quarter we had a different strength and conditioning coach. So I had probably at least 10 for my 4 years there, which is kind of, yeah, it's absurd. It was like every quarter I was like, what's new? What's this new trainer gonna bring? We went from like animal flow to like actually strength training to just mobility to just cardio. One guy got us running and like 3 of my teammates sprained their ankles. We don't run. We're in the water. But anyway, I will say, when you were our strength and conditioning coach, that was the most enjoyable of all the coaches we went through. And we actually strength trained. There were like some where we didn't even touch weights. And I'm like, what is this? This is a joke. But that is, when you're on the bottom of the totem pole, that's kind of, you get like, who watches water polo? I do, but most people, So anyway, but yeah, I really enjoyed having you as a coach, and you did like personalize it as much best you could, because I mean, there's like 20 plus of us in during the entire hour, and it's really quite a bit of a challenge. But yeah, anyway, You were my favorite coach.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That
You're
means a lot,
welcome.
Emma.
Yeah, and so it's cool to see you helping get people into their like athletic side, but like people who wouldn't necessarily have gotten that, Like, I mean, what 87-year-old could say, "Hey, I'm back squatting today with my coach?" Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is the athlete never leaves them. That's one thing that you learn. I mean, you don't have to compete in a professional sport to be an athlete. And the athlete never leaves. And what's the percentage of people who play in the NFL or the NBA or the PGA Tour? It's like 0.0001. I mean, it's very hard to get there. That's why it's elite. But you don't have to be at that level to be a great athlete. So my goal is to make sure that we are building the best athletes we have. I think our owner of the club will always say, "Don't let the old person in," and it's a great quote. He says, "Don't let the old man in," and you can say that, "Don't let the old woman in," "Don't let the old person in," and it's a really great. It's a very valid saying because age is not age is a blessing. I think as we get older, it's a blessing that we can grow and keep establishing ourselves as people and keep becoming different versions of ourselves as we get older and make even a bigger impact on the world because of the knowledge that we have gained over the years. So I think that's what you see a lot of here. And as I said, my clients, every one of them, they want to get better. I mean, their goal when they come and see me is, we want to get better. We want to be stronger. We want to be fitter. We want to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And I take it very seriously that it's part of my job is to help them get to that point. And if they feel really good, then I'm doing my job. If they come back and they want to keep training, then I'm doing a good job. And that's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's awesome because I think for somebody to go to the gym and to seek you out and to get guidance, it's like they do want to improve, and the fact that they keep showing up, it's like it's not just a like, oh, like I want to look better sort of. It's like a total mind body transformation by the end of it as they continue to train with you too, because they're showing themselves that they show up for themselves and that they can do hard things.
I agree 100%. And I think, as I've said, this is not the kind of atmosphere where like, you walk into a big box gym and you've got some people who are just trying to throw weight up to throw weight up, or some people who are just, getting after it, screaming and yelling. That's not what this atmosphere is. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I lived in that atmosphere for many years in the sports world, and I loved it. I mean, I loved going in and having the music blaring and get everybody excited. This is just different. And it's a fun different because, you get people who come in and they really want, like I said, they really want to get better. And, that whoever I'm going to train, so I think I train like 5 people tomorrow, and every one of those 5 people is coming in because they want to achieve something in their life. And that's a lot of fun for me that I can help them get to that point. And
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I'd say you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about yourself through this.
Yeah. I can say, like, personally from coaching too, like seeing people grow and helping people with their goals, like that helps me. Like, it's kind of a selfish job if you think about it, right? You feel good when you help people, so I'm like doing stuff to, anyway. But yes, that's awesome, and that must be nice because so sometimes maybe I don't know if you notice this as a coach, but when there would be, like, I always love to train. I love to train. I love to lift weights. There were a lot of women on my team who really did not enjoy it and did not want to be there. And so it's probably a nice change of pace where it's like everybody here is showing up and they want to be there. They want to better themselves. They want to lift weights with you.
Yeah, and I think there's just been some really fun challenges that have come with this that, that you can actually really see quantifiable results with the work that you do. The team setting can be hard in that regard because there's so many other factors and variables that go into play. I mean, if I'm training you at Santa Clara and you get hurt in the pool, was it something in the weight room? Was it something with practice being too long? Was it that you were up all night studying for a midterm or a final and you didn't sleep and then you didn't eat and you're dehydrated? All those things come into play. So it's hard to actually to place a point of, okay, this happened because of this or this happened because of this. I think here, because of the individualization, I can see how my work is really doing, and I think I can see the impact I'm having, which is really what I came here to do, was to make an impact.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, I mean, an hour with 20 plus people versus an hour one-on-one. I mean, you get more personalization, more individualization. You get to know that client better, and you get to better tailor what you're doing to that client. Whereas with the 20 of us, I mean, that's tough. Like, because there were people who had never lifted weights before, people who didn't like lifting weights, or people who could do complex barbell lifts, and people who really enjoyed lifting. And so it's hard to tailor a routine for everybody and do it effectively and make sure nobody gets injured, make sure everybody's form is correct. And yeah, so makes a lot of sense. So you were saying that you personally have grown a lot too since moving and transitioning to your new position. What has changed over the past 2 years?
When I left Duluth, I think it was a very hard job on me, mentally, physically, emotionally. I was in a place where I knew nobody, in a very difficult job environment, very challenging job environment. And I was tired, and I really hadn't trained that much or taken care of myself that much. Life had sort of caught up to me, and when I got here, I was like, something needs to change, and it took me a while to actually see what that change needed to be. And I just noticed though that I was lethargic. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. I just didn't like the way I functioned. And I think, I started talking to you about, nutrition, counseling, I think before I left Duluth, right before, but it wasn't until I really was able to work on the other things that I could really implement what you were coaching me on as well. So I hired a trainer as well. One of my best friends is my trainer, and she's been training me now for probably a year and a half. And one thing I will say is coaches need coaches. It's just, it's a cliched term, but it's so true. Coaches need coaches. There's no way I could go in the weight room and get myself motivated to lift without my trainer. Her name is Kessa Kuiper. Without her, it's not like she's calling me up saying, do this, do this. She just gives me the workouts. But knowing that, she holds me accountable by, if I don't do those lifts, I don't get the job done. I don't feel good. And I really thrived with those for a long time. And then last May, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. Another thing where I need to start taking care of myself. And I'll backtrack on this a little bit. For many years, I put everybody else before me because I thought it was selfish to take care of myself instead of taking care of somebody else. Oh, my athletes are more important. I'm going to not sleep as much because I better get there and get everything ready. They're more important than me getting my workout in, so forget my workout. And my body deteriorated rapidly, where in 2021, I have major hip reconstructive surgery. I mean, I had a labrum repair, I had cartilage damage, I had cysts on my hip, I had bone impingement. I was a mess. And the last few months, I couldn't walk without crutches before I had surgery. That's how bad I let it get because I sacrificed so much. So that was a lesson when I came back to this. And I always say that life can catch up to us and our body will tell us. There's a great line in one of the Rocky movies that says, nature is smarter than people think. And it's really true because I feel like our body is part of nature. It will tell us. If we're doing something it doesn't like, it's going to tell us. And, after the celiacs and things were getting stressful, I was having other personal things I was dealing with, my hip went again. It took months to figure out what it was. And, it was a bad case of psoas tendonitis that turned into finding out I've gotten more cysts on my hip. So then it got me back to PT. And luckily, Kessa is a PT along with a strength coach, so she was able to help me through that. But the one thing she had to do, and you had to do as well, is harness me in, because as somebody who so used to going and being present and active all the time, I had to stop. And I had to understand that this is not going to get fixed tomorrow. It's a slow process. And it's going to take time. And so I had to really trust that it would get better through everything I was doing. It would just take time. And it's taken a good, July. I started dealing with this almost a year ago. And I'm now just...
Oh, yeah, huh?
And last August, I first started feeling this. And I'm now finally just starting to feel like I did before this flare-up happened. And it was very hard mentally on me. Besides being hard physically, I'm trying to work every day and I'm in immense pain. And luckily, I've got really good employees and really good clients who sit there and, help me. Like, I don't have to lift all the weights for them because I couldn't. I mean, I could barely bend over. But the point is, all that led me to kind of where I'm at now mentally, which is you got to take care of yourself. I can't take care of you. I can't take care of the other clients I have, my employees, the job. I can't do all of those things if I'm not taking care of myself. They all go hand in hand. So what I thought was a selfish attitude of, oh, well, I can't take care of me, I was actually hurting myself more than helping myself. I hindered my growth, which then hindered my ability to perform in my jobs, which then hurt the people that I'm trying to help.
Yes, and that's something that's hard to grasp for a lot of people. It's something, especially the type of clients that gravitate towards me, the more type A sort of folks. But I mean, really, it's like you put it perfectly. Like, if you aren't healthy, you're not going to be able to serve others to the best of your ability. So it's not selfish. It's actually, I would say, selfless to put yourself first, because otherwise you're doing like a half-assed job most of the time. And I mean, people don't realize how much better and more productive you'll be, how much better you'll feel, how much better you'll be able to be around. Like, you'll have a better mood, that they'll be if they start to prioritize themselves and their health. So what made you take that, I guess, switch, or flip that switch, so to speak?
Well, when I first started training, Kessa, it was last February. It was February of 24 when I started getting her programs. One thing I really like about what she does that sort of falls into my philosophy is less is more. You don't have to leave the weight room dead. It falls into my philosophy as a coach, but it never fell into my philosophy as an athlete, because I would always train myself till I couldn't walk. And, I had to look at this and be like, oh, well, I might not be exhausted today, but I can come back tomorrow and do it again. And I started enjoying the process of training again, of myself, of being in the weight room and training myself. They're not long lifts. They're just what I want, about 45 minutes. But they're very effective, and I think I gained a lot of confidence in those. So many years ago, I slipped 3 discs doing a hex bar deadlift because I started too heavy. Well, it got in my head. I was like, I'm never doing hex bar again. Well, it got me on the hex bar. And I started out at 65 pounds. I mean, scared to death to lift 65 pounds off the ground. That's how nervous I was to even do that motion. But the confidence I got doing that has led me to, well, one, get through this injury, and two, get back to lifting those weights and not being scared to get under a hex bar or to do certain exercises that really were going to benefit me. And it also helped me trust that, I'm not alone in this, because I go for so many years, I preach everybody, I've got your back, I've got your back. But now through all this, I'm learning, well, wait, people have my back too. And that's really important to know, is that people, for me, it's important to know that, there's support.
Yeah, definitely. That can be really, really beneficial. I don't think people realize that having somebody else watching over you, even if it's not, even if you might perceive it as like somebody's judging you or whatever, it's like really they're just supporting you and they're just along the ride for you to help guide you and help make sure that you're doing what you should be doing to achieve the goal that you set out to achieve.
Well, and that's what coaching is, as you know. I mean, you don't have to hold people accountable by holding their hand or yelling at them or screaming at them. If they want to get better, then that's how they're held accountable. And that's how I've coached. Like, I think a lot of coaches I worked with in the past, like a lot of like college coaches I've worked with and worked for, it was, we have to do X, Y, and Z to toughen them up, and there's punishments if you don't do it. Well, punishment to me is that you don't get better. Don't get better. I mean, that's what, when I have a mobility session or a lift to do, and I like, I do this. Well, there are weeks where it's like, okay, I'm taking the week off because my body needs it. But if my mind is just like, I don't want to do this, but my body is ready to do it, I have to tell myself, hey, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get healthy. And I'm not going to achieve the goals that I've set out to achieve for myself right now. So I think that's what coaching is. It's teaching people to be accountable to themselves. And because they're there to get better, but how are they going to get better if they don't do the work? And with everybody, as you said, communication, I said it too, communication is very individualized. It takes a lot to get people to trust. Like I always say, trust is built over time and lost in a split second. So getting people to really trust and getting people to really trust themselves through this too, like you are doing the right thing, is the challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And I think part of our jobs as coaches, trainers, is to teach people to trust themselves again. Because if they're not trusting themselves, they're not going to be able to maintain it long term. They won't show up for themselves. And so how do you help people do that?
I think that's a really good question. There's many ways to look at it. I think I show up for them too. They know that I'm working hard for them. So I think that's the first thing I do, is they know right away that I'm right there. Like I'm not the kind of trainer, coach that is going to go out there with my phone in my hand. Be like, hold on, got a text, hold on a second. Most of the time when I'm coaching, my phone is on do not disturb, so I don't get notifications on my watch, because I don't want to be bothered. I want to be all in with my client. And I think that's how what I want them to do is understand that this is really good for them. Like, yeah, it doesn't have to be the most enjoyable part of your day. And we'll joke around. Sometimes I'll tell clients, hey, I know this is the best part of your day, and we laugh about it, but it doesn't have to be. But it's something that is going to help you, so I try to make it as efficient as possible, as fun as possible, and as challenging as possible, because especially with with the clientele that I have, they love challenges. They want to be challenged. They don't want to come in and just go through the motions. They want to be pushed. And that's great. And I would say more often than not in my career in sports even, I've been around athletes who want to be pushed. I think that's what's made it so fun for me is I would say probably 90 to 95% of the athletes that I've worked with have all really wanted to be pushed. My last job at Duluth, the athletes were the best part of that job. They were great. They loved training. Both teams, the men's and women's hockey team, they loved to train. They would come in and they would hit it about as hard as I've seen teams hit it. So, and it was a very big part of what they did. It wasn't like, okay, it's March, we're going to tournament time, we can't train. We need to train lighter, we need to be smart, but so want to come and do it. And that's the exciting thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, and having people who want to show up helps a lot. But yeah, I think even like personally, like pushing people and showing them that they can do hard things is when they start to really like trust themselves and trust that they're doing the right thing and that they're on the right track. And then they start to like believe that they can do these things and continue to improve even before they notice like noticeable changes.
And yeah, just to add to that, confidence is it's a very great feeling. When you start getting confidence in yourself in a certain thing, the sky is the limit. I mean, I think I've seen that so many times. I think one example I have here that was really cool for me is I had a man come in and his wife had a stroke. And
oh wow.
And it was something that, he's like, can you help us? And I had really never faced that before. And I was like, yes. I said, let me do what I can, and let me, I'm good at the X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to study up on A, B, and C. And I did, and I reached out to people who've had, experience with that. And I said, okay, what's the best thing to do here? How do I progress from A to B to C? And I saw this woman who was on a cane, who could barely move her hand, now have almost full function a year later.
Wow.
And that's the rewarding thing, I think. And that's where confidence comes in. All I tried to do was give her some confidence in her body again, because her body had deserted her for a while, and she had to get the confidence to get her body back. And that was a really cool thing for me, and I've seen it with, people who've had hip replacements, knee replacements, basic shoulder replacements, whatever you want to say. Like I've had all those here too. And, I have another client who is a very good athlete, very good golfer, plays all the time. And he comes in like twice a week for an hour and trains. And he wants to be at the best he can at golf. And, throwing up some seriously good weight. The exciting thing about him though is he had a shoulder issue where he could barely raise his shoulder up to like here and hold it.
Wow.
And now one day he's like, feeling good. Let's go to barbell bench press. Started benching. Because I was doing dumbbells and they were going a certain length, but did the barbell. And he's like, I want to try some more shoulders. Let's do some front raises. Let's do some shoulder press. No pain. So to see that and to be able to say, wow, this training really helped this person, because this person was able to gain confidence in their body, and it helped them live a better life and do the things they want to do. And if one of those things is play golf at the highest level and play tournaments every weekend because they can, go for it. More power to you.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's my favorite part of coaching too. When you see like even just like little things of clients' lives kind of change and shift. Like, if you don't mind me bragging about you, like you, well, your relationship with food has transformed drastically. You cook most of your meals at home. Your body composition drastically changed, but the scale stayed the same. But if you look at side-by-side photos, you're like a completely different person, even in your face, like the smile that you hold and I mean, that's the most rewarding thing, like having people just like change their whole aura and kind of vibe. Weird way to say it, but you know, anyway.
No, and I really appreciate that because I think, this training the past year and a half has sort of taken on a life of its own. And, I looked at that one picture I showed you from last May where I was really like lean and fit. And I looked back and I was like, I almost looked too lean looking back on it because I've gained a little bit of weight since then and we've discussed that, but it's been healthier weight and it's more my natural weight. And now I actually feel better and I think I'm healthier than I was then. And I think also the celiac diagnosis had a lot to do with that. I wasn't getting the nutrients in my system I needed to get. My body wasn't able to metabolize the proper nutrients. And, now it's able to. Now I'm, in a better place with that. So that definitely helped. But, I really appreciate that because I think the one thing you did along with Kessa was you made sure to preach patience. It's not going to happen tomorrow, and it's not going to be perfect. Me being the perfectionist OCD that I am, I want it now. Why can't it be now? Why, but that's just me. That's me being me. I can coach patience, but to take the old advice, that's why you have coaches. That's why we all get coaches because nobody can do it alone. And it's just the way it is. Nobody in this world has accomplished anything alone without the help of others. All people need people. And I think during COVID, I think that was really highlighted. I think a lot of people thought, oh, we're going to be on Zoom the rest of our lives. We're going to be stuck in a room. No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, go out on a Friday night. Bars are full. Restaurants are full. Clubs are full. People are back out because people need people.
Yes, it's so true. And I've been talking about it a lot. Like I hired my first like health and fitness coach and it's been game changing. I wish I had done this sooner because I am also perfectionist, do too much, kind of type A. So I was doing too much, per usual, and just scaling back on my training, but being more intentional, and having someone guide me that has helped tremendously. I can't, everybody should hire a coach at some point. Doesn't matter what your profession is, what you do. It's extremely beneficial. And you don't know until you've gone through it.
I agree. And I think, social media, I always say, is like a blessing and a curse right now. It's so good in so many ways, but the stuff that will sell on social media isn't maybe the stuff that we should all be doing. And there's so many great coaches out there, but it's hard to weed through the information to really hear what somebody is going to offer you. And, I think still live in a world where, the grind culture, we got to grind, we got to do this, we got to do more, we got to do more, we got to do all of this. But do we? One guy I really respect is David Goggins. He's amazing. He's so inspirational. But we're not going to go run 100 miles. I mean, and you've heard him talk. He's miserable doing it. It's hard on him. It's very hard, but that's what drives him. But what drives him may not be what drives somebody else. So when he says stay hard, what does that mean? Does that mean that we're going to go on the bike and grind for 500 miles on a stationary bike? Maybe it does for him, but that's him. For me, for somebody else, staying hard is just staying focused on the task at hand and staying focused on what you have to do and being the best version of you. Another one I'll use is Saquon Barkley from the Philadelphia Eagles. He even talked about having to train smarter this year, not necessarily harder. And that's the first time we don't hear a lot about that from professional football player. Where all that's highlighted is squatting 600 pounds. He must be doing X, Y, Z all day long. We don't see the Normatec boots, the ice baths, the recovery, what they're doing for meals, what they're doing for sleep. We don't see all that.
Yeah, and I think For me, what was the David Goggins thing, like stay hard or whatever,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, for me, like my hard is taking a rest day,
yeah,
but doing that has given me better results. And I mean, most people's goals are not to run, like you said, 100 miles. Most people's goals are to have a healthy body composition, feel confident, have energy, so they can live their lives the best way they can. And you don't need to push intensity or training. You don't need to work out multiple times a day. You don't even need to work out every day. You should stay active. Um, but I think that's overhyped, I would say, on social media, but it's because it's the extremes that it gets
well,
highlighted.
people like extremes. We live in an extreme world. And I mean, I'll be honest, when I was playing football in college, I was an extremist. And, we talked about this before we got on. I never played until I got to college. So I thought that's what I had to do to play catch up. So it would be hours and hours and hours of training, 2 hours in the weight room, hour plus on the field. Then the days I didn't lift, it'd be 2 hours in the field, like grinding in 110-degree heat on purpose because I needed to get tougher, But also being 19, 20 years old, you can get away with that stuff. Don't think my body would allow me to get away with that now. But that's the beauty of age in the sense, too, is that as we get older, we get smarter. But
Yes.
we don't lose that desire to push ourselves. The great ones, like your older, like a Tom Brady. Let's use Tom Brady. One of the best fit athletes around. LeBron James. LeBron's going to be 41 years old. He's playing at such an elite level. How? He's taking care of his body. Does that mean that he's going grinding for 10 hours a day? No, but he's taking care of himself. And that's really what it comes down to, is taking care of yourself. And like I said, I think what the message David Goggins sends is a beautiful message. Stay hard. But what that hard is to him is not what that hard is to you, me, or anybody else. So we have to be able to interpret that and know ourselves well enough to know what we can and can't.
Yes, definitely agree. And what would you like to leave our audience with? I mean, I think that's a great message, but I like to give my guests like the floor for the last thing.
I mean, I think the biggest thing I say is go after what you want in life. And don't be afraid to make a change. Don't be afraid to take a chance. And it's okay. There's sort of like set rules that we're supposed to follow. I think my parents, God rest their souls, they were amazing, but it was, you go to college, you get a job, you get your gold watch, and you retire. That doesn't really vibe for a lot of people nowadays. A lot of people have a different take on things. So go after what you want, and don't be afraid to do it, and don't let anybody tell you shouldn't do it. If it's something that you feel right here, then you got to go after it.
I love that. That's a great message. I think both of us resonate a lot with that.
I agree.
So yes, go for what you want. Don't let anybody else's opinions or anything hold you back.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to leave it. And so where can our audience find you?
So I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram it's at J_Golden85. You can find me on Facebook at Jeremy Golden. Twitter is the same handle as Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Just search my name and you'll see me. And if you want to include my email, I'm more than happy to supply that to you. So, and I really, one thing about me, as you know, is I'm very personable and I like to talk to people. So I'm always open to talking to people and getting to know people.
Sweet. Yeah. I'll tag those in the show notes. So if y'all are looking to contact Jeremy, hit up the show notes. And if this episode resonated with you guys, please share it, like the show, and subscribe, because that helps us get in front of more people. and helps us spread the message of what sustainable fitness should actually look like and how to make changes the right way. So on that note, thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.